Hello friends, welcome to this exciting new video on my YouTube channel. In this video, we will learn how to connect your existing OpenAI assistant to three different platforms. First, Facebook Messenger, second, WhatsApp, and third, Telegram. You have your OpenAI assistant created, ready, and it is working absolutely fine. But what next? You want your user or your audience to interact with that assistant, and for that interaction you will need a platform like WhatsApp, Telegram, or Facebook Messenger, or even Instagram. So in this video we will use OpenAI Assistant API to interact with your existing OpenAI assistant, and user can ask question and get answer from OpenAI. So let's get started. In this video we will build a Python Flask webhook that will have these kinds of routes. A Facebook route which will be connected to a Facebook application. It will have a get and post. Get to verify the webhook and post to receive a new message information. For WhatsApp route, we will have a post method that will accept information from Twilio. We will use Twilio to connect our assistant to WhatsApp, and two route for Telegram. One, to receive information from Telegram about a new message, and second, to set a webhook on Telegram server. We will create few methods as well. First kind of method is to send a message to WhatsApp, Telegram, and Messenger, and then we will create a whole functionality to interact with OpenAI Assistant API. And in this video, obviously, we will use developer facebook.com to create our application, and then Twilio for WhatsApp communication, and Telegram, or you can say bot father, to create our bot and then connect it to our assistant. So first, let's create a new assistant. So here I'll create a simple demo assistant. I'll say, and I'll say you are a helpful assistant. Obviously in this video I'm not going to explain how to create your assistant. I assume that you already have your assistant. You can upload files, other stuff, and I'll click on playground to see how it works, and I'll say hi just for demonstration purpose. And you can see we have got response. So now let's understand how this assistant API works. So you create an assistant. When user sends a message, you create a new thread. Put the message on the thread and then run the thread. So OpenAI will run the thread. You need to constantly check if the run is complete or failed. If the run is successfully completed, you will have assistant message, and in case the run has failed, you will get a failed message. So this is how it actually works. And in order to interact with the assistant I already have created and the APIs, I need to have API key. For that, I'll go to dashboard and I go to API keys, and I'll create a new API key. Okay, I'll create new API key. Copy this API key. Don't worry about me exposing any credential in this video. I will destroy them after I record this video, but you must not share these credentials with anybody you don't trust. Now if I go to assistant, my assistant is ready. Now let's look into the development part of our application. So here I'm inside my Visual Studio Code and I have a terminal open. The first thing I'll do is that I'll say Python 3 -m venv and venv. So ultimately I want to create a new virtual environment so that my code and packages be separated from my global environment. You can use any method to create a virtual environment. Once the virtual environment is created, I'll source into the virtual environment and activate the virtual environment. You can see the virtual environment is created. Now, we will first connect our OpenAI assistant to Facebook Messenger, understand all the process, and then we will replicate the same process for Telegram and WhatsApp. So let's get started. The first thing I will do basically is to have our environment file ready. As I said, don't worry about me exposing these credentials. I'll get rid of them. So now let's get a few credentials as well. So I have this assistant ID that I'll need. I'll copy that and I'll provide it here. So we have OpenAI API key, assistant ID, and as I mentioned, we will first create the connection between assistant and Facebook Messenger. So we will need to get a Facebook token, and for that I'll go to developer.facebook.com. I'll create a new application. I'll choose, I don't want to connect a business portfolio yet. I'll select that. I'll select other because we are not going to use any of those options. Then I'll select business. I'll say next. I'll say test application. I'll create the app. So this application is done. I will set up the messenger here. Yeah, so the messenger is set up. We will do further steps once we reach to that point. So now let's look into the development process. So for that, what we will do is that we will first build our Flask server. For that we will say pip install Flask and requests to make requests. So I'll hit enter. It will install few dependencies. Then at every point I install a new dependency, I'll freeze the requirements.txt file so that we can have requirements.txt, and when we move to the deployment phase we will use that. So you can see here we have the dependencies. Now let's create a main.py file, and here I'll say from Flask import Flask. Okay, I'll create a new app. using this Flask class, and I'll say provide argument __ name. I'll say app dot route. I'll say the home route, and def handle _ home, and I'll return okay 200. Okay, and we will say that if __ name is equals to __ main __ then app dot run, and I'll say debug true. Okay, and let me save this, and if I say python main.py, and when I hit enter, it will start the local server, and if I click here, you can see the application is running. Okay, and you can, let me zoom in a bit, you can see the application is running. So now let's first create a route to handle Facebook communication. For that, I'll say app dot route, I'll say Facebook. Now this time I'll say methods is get. So what happens is that Facebook, when you create a webhook or provide a webhook to the application we have created, this application, when you provide a webhook, it first needs to verify the webhook. For that, we will need a get method, and once the webhook is verified, it will send post request whenever a new message appears on the application. So I'll say handle Facebook _ get. Okay, and here Facebook will send few information when it send a request, and we will utilize those information to verify. Basically, Facebook will send a number to this route, and we will need to return the number back in the response. So let's first get those things. The first will be a mode, so we can import request, and in this request dot args dot get, the first will be hub dot mode. So this will be sent by Facebook to us. Then there will be verify _ token, that will be request dot args dot get hub dot verify _ token. Then there will be a challenge. This is the information that we need to send back into the response. Okay, and that will be hub dot challenge. Okay, so these are the information that Facebook will send. So we will say if mode equals to subscribe. Okay, mode equals to subscribe, and the verify token is equals to a token we will set, then we will print webhook verified. Okay, and we will return challenge and 200. Otherwise we will return bad request and 403. Okay, so this is how we will verify a webhook on Facebook platform. Once we verify the Facebook webhook, then Facebook will send request on our server whenever a new message comes. So we will handle that as well. Handle Facebook post. Now here we will receive a body from the request. This body will have, you know, multiple numbers of information, but out of this multiple number of information we will need a couple of information. The one is recipient ID. I'm not sure it's right spelling or not, but that will reside under body, under entry, under 0th index, under messaging, and again under 0th index, under sender, under ID. I guess this is bad. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is. And then the query will reside under body, entry, 0th location, messaging, 0th location, message, and then text. You must be wondering how I remember these things. It is because I already know what Facebook Messenger sends in the request, and when we will connect it to actual connect means Facebook, we will see what actually comes in the request as well. Now here I'll say the to do will to, you know, first to create a new thread on OpenAI. Okay, and before that we will check if an existing thread is running or not. Put the message on the thread, run the thread, check the status of the run, send the message back to the user. So this is what we will do, and then we will, you know, send message back. So in any case, when Facebook sends a message to your webhook, we need to return OK 200 in any case. So what I'll do is that I will put all these things into try catch. Okay, so that if something goes wrong here, we will, you know, in any case we will send 200 status back to Facebook. So now we need to create these things, but before that I would like to create a method to send message back to the user. So for that I'll say Facebook let's say functions .py, and here we will create a function, or we will utilize graph API to send message back to the user. For that I'll import requests, and I'll create send message FB. We will receive two parameters, message that will be string and sender ID, or we'll say recipient ID. That will be kind of let's say str string, and we will return nothing. So there is a URL that let me copy that URL, okay, to send message. So the URL will be something like this, okay, and so here we need to pass our token, obviously, that we will get dynamically. For that I will create a new file, config.py file. Here we will read all the information from .env file, and for that we will install pip install python-env to read environment file. Let me do that. We will freeze the requirements again, and here what I'll do is that FB token import OS, and from .env import load.env and find.env, and I'll say load.env find.env. I'll say FB token equals to get env FB token, and my FB verify token will be os.get env and my verify token. So now what we can do is that here we'll say import config, and here we can say config.fb token. So the endpoint is complete, and now let's create our data. Data will be recipient, that will be again an object, and we'll pass the recipient ID, and under message we will pass, I guess, text and our message, okay, and then we will request dot post. My URL will be my URL, and my JSON data will be my data, and we'll just make sure that response dot status code equals to 200. We'll just print message sent successfully, else we will say, just to make sure that message sent failed. Okay, so this is our method to send message back to the user from Facebook. And here what I'll do is that, just to demonstrate that this works, let me import this. Okay, it takes message, so let's pass the query as it is, and recipient ID will be recipient ID. So this seems functional, I guess. So what now, let's do one more thing, is that we will install Gunicon, so that we don't have to, I guess that is the best way. So we will install Gunicon, and here I'll create a new file called run.py. Now this will be my entry point instead of main.py. Let me cut that, and if I come here from main import app, okay, yeah. So now if I say Gunicon run :app reload, then it will start a server. But there is one problem we have at this point, is that this is running on my local machine, and Facebook doesn't have access to my local machine. For that, I'll use another tool called ngrok, and I'll expose my local server to internet through ngrok. You can install ngrok. There are a few steps to complete that, and you can see here I need to, I guess, maximize this, because sometimes it doesn't work if it is minimized and the link is not properly visible. So if we go here, you can see, okay, response. So this is our URL. So I'll copy this URL, go to Facebook app that we have created. I'll click on configure. I'll provide the URL followed by Facebook. Now it asks for verify token. So if we look here, let me maximize this as well. If we look here, we have this verify token. Let me copy that. If I come here, it's here, verify and save. It says couldn't verify. It says couldn't verify, and I guess we did not receive, yeah, we forbidden. It says forbidden, so maybe we have made a mistake somewhere. Yeah, so we did not provide the verify token, and obviously for that what we will do is that import config, and here we will say that config.fb verify token. I'll save this, and if you save this, it automatically reloads. So let's move to the screen and hit verify, and hopefully this time the webhook is verified, you can see. And indeed, if we look here, we'll see that webhook verified message as well. So once the webhook is verified, we need to manage few things. The messaging, messages, subscribe messages, and messaging postback, I guess, messaging postback. Yeah, we need to subscribe to these two events. One is messages and messaging postback. Then we need to create access token. So for that access token, I'll need to continue, and I'll select the page for which I need the access token. So let me copy this, save this. I got it, and connect. Yeah, I guess it is connected, but it did not have the effect. Okay, let me refresh the page. Yeah, and if I come here, yeah, add subscription, messaging and messaging post back, confirm, and I'll hit on generate token. It will generate a token. I'll click I understand, copy the token, and done. So if we come here and under the environment file, I need to provide the token. Once we change the anything in an environment file, we need to restart the server. So I'll restart the server. Now that means if if I go to Messenger, go to the client demo page, and if I say hi here, we will obviously receive hi from our webhook. And let's see if, yeah, you can see we have got hi. And let me very quickly print the body as well, print body as well, so that we can see what's coming. Yeah, you can see here the sound, and this is the information coming from Facebook, their entry, messaging, sender ID, recipient ID, and message and text and everything. And this is what we have utilized here as well. So now this connection works. Let's complete these steps. For that, I'll create a new file called OpenAI underscore functions.py. And here I'll write all the functions needed for OpenAI Assistant API calling mechanism. And for that, we need to install a package, pip install OpenAI, and I'll use tag u to make sure we install the latest package. Yeah, and again we will freeze the requirements. Let me clear the screen, and again unicorn. So now here what I'll do is that from OpenAI import OpenAI, and we will create a new client that is equals to OpenAI, and here we will provide the API key. Again, we will get the API key from environment variable, and in order to get that, we will create a new variable here, os.get. Okay, and here I'll say let me first import OpenAI, config, and we'll say config OpenAI API key. So now once let's one more time understand the concept. How this works is API references and assistant. So here we need thread. So if I come here, this is all about creating assistant, but we don't want to create assistant. We have created assistant. So what we'll do is that we will create a thread, put message on the thread, okay, then run the thread, check the status of the run, and once the run is completed, we will extract the information and send it back to the user. So let's work on that part. So for that, I'll say a function ask OpenAI assistant, and this will take two things, query and a recipient ID. So we will create new thread for the recipient ID when the recipient ID sends his first message. Otherwise, we will retrieve the thread for the particular recipient ID, and for that we will manage locally. But for more production ready application, we will need a better solution for this. And for that, let's do one thing. Under config.py, I'll say mapping data, and that will be an object, and when we initialize it will be an empty object, but we will add recipient ID against a thread ID against the recipient ID into this to manage it locally. But let me comment this thing. For production, it needs a better solution. Okay, so now if we come here, what we will do is that we will check if the thread is already created for that recipient. For that, I will do one thing. Utils.py, I'll create a new file, utils.py, and here I'll import the config, and here I'll create two methods, get underscore thread underscore ID from recipient ID, and obviously we will receive a recipient underscore ID that will be string, and return a string or none, because there is a strong possibility that the user is contacting for the first time. So we'll try thread underscore ID equals to config dot mapping data, and we have mappings, small mapping, or small mappings I guess, or mapping, I'm not sure, but my bad. Let's use mapping. So mapping empty dot get recipient ID. If the recipient ID is there, we will return the thread ID. Okay, and if it is not the case, I need to accept this, we will return none. Okay, so when you get the recipient ID, you will get the value of this property, and that will be our thread ID. So in order to utilize this, obviously we need to create a new function that we will update, or basically create or update, but I'll say update thread underscore ID for recipient ID, and we will receive a recipient ID here that will be string or int, I'm not sure, because on certain cases that can be int, and we will surely return a string. And obviously we need to have a thread ID as well, that will be string, and that will be updated against the recipient ID. We will say try, okay, what config dot mapping data dot get mapping, otherwise empty, dot update. We will update. What we will update? That the recipient ID and thread ID. So I hope now you understand that, and we will return I guess none here. We don't have to return anything, because when we create a new thread, we will update the thread ID against the recipient ID, so we don't have to do anything here, I guess. And accept, and we will return none as well. Okay, so here we will first try to get the thread ID from recipient ID. Okay, and let me import this. Yeah, so recipient ID equals to the recipient ID. So if we get the thread ID, we don't have to create new thread, otherwise we will create new thread. So if thread ID, so this either returns a string or none. So if it is not none, there is a thread ID, then we will retrieve a thread from OpenAI, and we will say client dot beta dot threads dot retrieve. This will take thread ID equals to the thread ID. Otherwise, we will create a new thread, client dot beta dot thread dot create a new thread. So now a new thread is created. There, in that case, we will obviously want to update the thread ID against the recipient ID, and for that we will provide the recipient ID, and thread ID will be thread dot ID. Okay, and let's print the thread as well. So we have done our first step. We have thread created. Now what we will do is that we will put the message on the thread, and for that we will say client dot beta dot threads dot messages dot create. We will create a new, and I guess we don't need anything. We don't want to receive anything from this. We will say the thread ID will be thread dot ID. Then our content will be our query that user has sent, and the role of the content is user. Okay, so we have put the message on the thread. Then we need to run the thread. So we'll say client dot beta dot threads dot runs dot create. Okay, we'll create a new, and that will take thread ID. That will be our thread dot ID, and assistant ID will be our assistant ID. And for that, let's go here. Yeah, we have assistant ID, so we'll pass that into our configuration file to read it anywhere in the application. So here config dot assistant ID. Now once the the thread is running, let me print the run as well to see everything worked. And we'll say, let's say a flag equals to true, and I'll say while the flag is true, retrieve I guess retrieved run equals to client dot beta dot threads dot runs dot retrieve the run. Obviously the thread ID will be thread dot id and the run id will be run dot id. Retrieve the information of the run, and if retrieved run dot status, I guess, yeah, status is equals to, so there are these status, and if it is completed, my bad, I have, yeah, if it is completed, then we will change the flag to false, so that will out of these for loop. Then we will retrieve the messages. Retrieved messages will be client dot beta dot threads dot messages dot retrieve, not, let's say, get the list of messages, yeah, list of messages, and it will take thread id will be our thread dot id. And what we will do is that we will return retrieved messages dot, it has data, which will be a list dot content, again a list dot text dot value, I guess, yeah, value. We will return that, and just for sanity check, I'll put this into try and catch, and here we'll say except something happens, return, and let's say we are facing an issue at this moment. And what I'll do is that I'll go here and I'll say error message equals to this thing, so that we can utilize it whenever we need. So config dot error message. So we have completed our OpenAI function. So now let's use it in our main.py file. We have done all the steps. So what we will do now, instead just sending back whatever the user has sent, we will call the OpenAI function and then return the response of this function. But there is a small catch here, and the catch is that this can take time, like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, depends. Obviously this can take time. So Facebook doesn't wait till then. What happens is that if you take much time on, let's say on this line 32, Facebook will feel that, oh, your server has failed, and it will send the request again. So what we need to do is that we need to push all the process on a thread, so that we can, when a new request come on this Facebook route, we immediately send OK 200 response. So let's very quickly do that as well. So what we will do is that I will create a new function here. Okay, let's say def call ask OpenAI assistant, and then send message to FB messenger. I know the name of the function is too much long, but I like it this way, just to identify the function. So we will obviously receive the query and recipient ID, okay, from the, and I guess we will not receive anything, return anything from this. And what we will do is that, so let's say a reply will be response of this function. Okay, let me import this, and this takes query, that is query, and recipient ID, that is the recipient ID. Now we get the response. We will send message to FB. Message will be our reply, and recipient ID will be the recipient ID. And so what we will do is that I will import threading. Okay, and here what I'll do is that threading dot thread, we will use the target equals to call this function, and the args will be a tuple that it will pass. So my query and recipient ID is what I need to provide here, and we will start the thread. So that means in turn, when something comes here, we start the process, this process, on some separate thread, and just return okay 200. We can use any messaging queue as well for this, because if it is in production, we should be using a messaging queue. Let me write it here as well. Use a queue. Okay, so let's okay, let me run the application. Okay, so the application is running, and let's go to messenger, and if I write hi here, let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, and you can see that hello, how can I assist you today, and obviously it is coming from our webhook. So you can see that we have successfully connected our OpenAI assistant to Facebook Messenger. Now let's so this is working completely fine. So let's do one thing very quickly. Let's hopefully, if you say we can either deploy this application on server or connect it to Twilio. Let's connect it to Twilio first. So what happens is that in order to connect to Twilio, you need to create account with Twilio. Yeah, once you create an account with Twilio, you can create a project. Under the project, under messaging, there is try it out and send a WhatsApp message. So you get a sandbox to send a message, and if you have a meta verified number, you can go to sender and WhatsApp sender and connect your sender, and the process will be the same. So under sandbox setting, we need to provide a webhook URL. Obviously the webhook URL will be the webhook URL we have. So I will provide the webhook URL followed by WhatsApp, and I'll save this. And I know that we don't have a route for this, but I'll very quickly create a route, app dot route, let's say WhatsApp. The methods will be post, and we will say def handle WhatsApp post, and let's write the function. So just let me get a few code very quickly. Okay, so what happens is that again we will need the query, okay, and we will need the recipient ID as well. So let's very quickly grab that. So under request there is a form and there is a get, okay. The key will be body, only capital B, okay, and again for the recipient ID that will be from. Yeah, so once you get these two information, again we will be doing the same thing. Let me copy this. We can do if else here based on either messenger, use this, different use that, but I will not do that. I will save WhatsApp. So query recipient ID, again we get the reply, and we need to obviously write the function to send message back to the user. So for that we will say WhatsApp underscore functions dot py, and here okay, under here we need to call Twilio. So for that I'll install the package Twilio. Okay, let me freeze the requirements. Let's run the server again, and we'll say from Twilio dot rest import client, and we need these three things. So I'll put it into config. Okay, and one more, auth token, and the last one, oops, from, okay, no, it is Twilio from. Okay, so if you are wondering how you get this Twilio sandbox, then if you see here, there is a sandbox number and there is a phrase to talk to the sandbox number. So what you do is that you save this number, send first this message on the sandbox, and then you can talk to the WhatsApp. So yeah, this is it. So if we come here, client, and we will import our config file as well. So what we'll do is that client equals to client, and it take account SID. So config dot Twilio account SID and auth I'm not sure, account SID, and I guess I should be passing these as it is without any keyword, and Twilio auth token. Okay, so we have created our client. So let's create a new function, def send message WhatsApp. Again, it will take a message that we want to send and recipient ID on which we want to send, and we will return nothing. What happens is that a client has a method messages, and then there is a create. I guess this is not refreshed. Yeah, so yeah, it has a create, and create, I'm not sure why we unable to see the messages. Any client is any as well, client is any as well, I guess. Okay, then we will take from underscore. That will be our config.twilio from which number we want to send the message. Then there is a body that will be our message, and there is a 2 that will be our recipient ID. And let me copy this thing. Okay, and let me put this in try catch, so that if something goes wrong, we can have a knowledge that something has failed. Let me write WhatsApp. Okay, and I should be writing FB here. Okay, so this means that if we come here, we can utilize the same thing, but instead of this, we will call this one and send message to WhatsApp, and let me import this. Okay, this needs to be indented correctly, and let me use try and catch here. So accept whatever comes, and we will return okay and 200. So I guess this should work as well, because we extracted the parameter. Yeah, we started a new thread, and okay. So let's do one thing. Let me try sending message to WhatsApp from my phone, and let's see what happens. So under WhatsApp, I have it is, and the phrase is join byte hyphen determine. Okay, I'm connected. If I now send hi, we should be receiving information here. Yeah, you can see a new thread is created, new run is created, and WhatsApp message sent successfully. And indeed, on my phone, I have received the information. This is very interesting and exciting. I'm feeling excited because this worked out of the box. So 2 down, 1 go. Now let's connect Telegram. So again, we'll do the same thing. Okay, app.route, and let's say Telegram. the methods will be post, and we'll say def handle telegram underscore post. Now there is one more thing here in case of telegram, is that we need a method to set the webhook as well, because there is no way to set the webhook on Telegram API portal. We need to do it manually. So let's first write let's say return at this point OK 200, and let's first write the functionality to set the message, set the webhook, and then we will write the functionality to receive a new message. Okay, so let me grab a few amount of code. So let's create telegram underscore functions.py, and here we will write a single function, send message underscore telegram, and we will be consistent in a way that we will receive a message that will be a string, and we will receive a recipient ID. In this case that will be int, and we will return nothing. I'll clear a few things, okay, just to be consistent. Recipient ID, okay. So let me grab few things as well. Okay, and I don't want this to here. I'll say import config, and further import requests, and further import JSON. Okay, yeah. So what happens is that here we need config dot telegram token, but we haven't set that. So this is the token, and os dot get env, and this is the token. So now we got the token, so telegram bot token. So this is the URL on which we will send a request with this information. And so to be consistent, what we will do is I'll copy this. So if something goes wrong, we will say telegram message sent successfully, and here we will say telegram message sent failed. Okay, so this is to send telegram messages. And yeah, we were writing app dot route telegram if the methods is get, then we will call this def handle telegram get. Okay, and what we will do is that, okay, so I guess we can get the base URL. So the base URL will be request dot base URL, and let me print the base URL, and we will return OK 200. Okay, so if we come here and if I go here and if I go Telegram, yeah, we got this. And if we come here, indeed we see this is the base URL that is called. Okay, so obviously we want the same URL to be set as a webhook, so we will write another function to set the webhook. And for that, let me copy a small amount of code. And this is the code. So I don't want these things. We don't want secret token, so let me format this in a way. Okay, so if we come here and let me set webhook, and I'll say Telegram to be more consistent, and what we want here is to call this functionality. Okay, and here it takes secret token and URL. The URL will be our base URL, and let's grab the flag because this returns true or false. So if the flag, then return this, else return bad request and 403. Okay, so now if we see here, okay, and let me let me call the URL. So if I call this, we got okay as well. We got okay. And if we come here, yeah, but actually if we look into this, yeah, we got okay, and the webhook is set, I guess. So let's try. The webhook I have set is for this Raj Kapadia YouTube demo, and if I write hi here, hopefully we will see something. But oh my bad, I figured out. Yeah, we did not write anything there, so let's write few things there. Okay, so the first thing we'll take is body, that will be coming from request.get JSON. Okay, and then okay, so the recipient ID will be so body, then message, then from, and then ID, and the query will be body, then message, and then text. Okay, this will be for Telegram, and again we need to write this thing, okay, so that we can handle the request on a separate thread. And let's catch any exception. We will pass this because we don't want to do anything with it as of now. And 200. Okay, so now we need to replicate one more function. Let's grab this and put it here so that we can, and for this here, instead of WhatsApp we will say Telegram, and here we will say send what's the name of the function? Yeah, send message Telegram. So we'll say send message Telegram, and let's import it. Okay, let's see if it is a message and recipient ID. Okay, this seems working, so hopefully, fingers crossed. Let's see on the terminal, and let me try sending a message. I'll say hi. Okay, you can see a new thread has started. Let's see what happens. Oh, WhatsApp message sent failed. Why that would have happened? Oh, cause my bad. This one. This is the function we are looking into. Okay, let's try one more time. Yeah, and indeed, if I show you my Telegram, you can see we have received the message as well. Wow, this is really great. So you can see that I'm very happy that it turned out, and you know, all the things worked well. Okay, so it turned out really well, and the application is working on the local machine through ngrok. So let's do one thing. Let's try to deploy this application on render platform. So for that, you will need obviously account with render, and connect your render account and GitHub account, so that we can, you know, get the latest repository from GitHub into render. And for that, what I'll do is that I'll first let me see if I have git ignore file. No, I don't have. So I'll create a .git ignore file, and I'll ignore the virtual environment __ py cache. Then I don't want to push .env file. I guess other than that, everything is good. So I'll save this, and I'll come here and I'll say first commit, hit commit, publish branch. Yeah, so I have published this on GitHub, and let's go to my GitHub and see if it is there under repository. Yeah, it is there. So what I'll do is that I'll go to render.com dashboard, then I'll go to new web service. I will select this thing, hit connect. Okay, and the command should be gunicon run app bind 0.0.0.0:5000. I'll select the free one, and for environment variables, I'll go here I'll add 2 more environment variables. I guess port needs to be there. Let's not use port. I'll say python _version equals to 3.10.12, because this is the version I'm on. I'll copy all of these things, go to render and provide these variables. Okay, OpenAI assistant, all the things are there, and I'll hit deploy web service. This can take time to deploy the service. So let me resume once the application is deployed. Okay, so you can see that the application is successfully deployed, and yeah, we can see the okay response as well. So what you can do is that you can copy this, go to this part here, edit the webhook URL and provide the latest deployed one, ABCDEFGH@1234567 this is the token, hopefully. Yeah, so let's test it here. So if it works here, it will work everywhere. And if I come here under logs, yeah, so you can see that. Okay, and yeah, how can I assist you today? So I think this works, and yeah, it worked out very well. I actually did not think that it will work, but it worked out, and that's a great feeling. So I hope you now understand that if you have your OpenAI assistant, you can connect it to multiple platforms, and let your user talk to your OpenAI assistant, and you can automate like information collection or FAQ or certain things in your process using OpenAI assistant API. Before we move forward, I would like to show you one more thing, is that I have a community on chatbot on the platform nest.io called Learn Everything About Chatbot, and here I often do sessions on chatbot and latest technology and innovation in the field of chatbots. Also, I have two digital products. One is Google Dialogflow Essential course at just 99 rupees, and if you have any problem, if you face any issue developing your application, you can get in contact with me for 60 minutes at very minimum price on the platform as well. So I guess this is it for this part of the video. I hope you have gained some knowledge, and in case you do so, please consider subscribing to my channel. That helps. Thank you for watching. Peace.